So, good day everyone. Today I will be discussing the different penal colony or farm and prison in the Philippines. So, for our learning objectives, at the end of this course or topic, the learner should be able to define the different penal colony or farm and prison in the Philippines. Second is to differentiate the different penal colony or farm and prison in the Philippines. And third is to enlighten them on the terms related on institutional correction. So first we have San Ramon Prison. So San Ramon Prison was opened by Captain Ramon Blanco, and it was also being established in southern Zamboanga. And also, the principal product in San Ramon Prison is copra, which is what we call the coconut, which covers 1,414 hectares. So, all in all, as we talk about San Ramon Prison, aside from it is being established in southern Zamboanga and established during the tenure of Governor General Ramon Blanco, which is named after this governor. So basically, the facility was originally established for political prisoners. So it is indicated that it was being established on August 21, 1869 to confine Muslim rebels and political prisoners who opposed to the Spanish rule. Because during that time, we are under the Spanish rule. So actually, this San Ramon prison or this system has several purposes. So it is not only intended to plant copra as their principal product, but also there are different purposes why San Ramon Prison was being built. So first, we have rehabilitation through labor. So authorities believe that engaging inmates in farming would still discipline. Of course, there is also responsibility and sense of productivity because San Ramon Prison is considered as the oldest penal facility in the country. So prisoners in San Ramon were required to do agricultural work, meaning to say they are more on planting, they are more on agricultural work. That is why one of the purpose of this San Ramon is to rehabilitate through labor. Second is self-sufficiency. So this penal farm aimed to produce its own food. Specifically, yung nabanggit po natin previously, which is the coconut or the copra. And also, to reduce syempre yung mga cost and maintaining expenses ng mga prisoners po doon sa loob ng San Ramon. And pangatlo po is the skill development. So PDL or the inmates must learn farming techniques. Kasi because of this agricultural work, mas nade-develop yung potential nila and skills nila. And possible na magamit din nila yun once na na-reintegrate na po sila into the society. Then number 4 po is the open penal system concept. So unlike the other prison, there is a strict prison dun po sa ibang facility. But this time, sa San Ramon Prison po, they are allowed inmates to have freedom of movement while working with supervision. So of course, the San Ramon is open area or open community which is open to all prisoners na hindi po kailangan ng strict supervision but rather there is still supervision pero mas maluwag po sila sa loob. Na kahit sila ay nagagawa ng actual labor, ng agricultural work, there's still a supervision. So in short, when we are referring po doon sa ating San Ramon Prison, this approach reflects where punishment was combined with reformation and productive labor rather than confinement. Kaya nga po ang pinaka-purpose niya is to do agricultural work. So take note po yung ating RSSO. Those are the purposes of San Ramon Prison. So R stands for rehabilitation through labor. Second is self-sufficiency. Third, skill development. And fourth, open penal system concept. So next is the Iwahig Penal Colony. So which covers 36,000 hectares. So the Iwahig Prison and Penal Farm is famously known as prison without walls. So syempre po, it was being established po under po ni William Forbes, or ayan po, indicated po, the order po ni Governor Forbes through suggestion of Governor Luke Wright. So there is also what we call the Tagumpay Settlement, or which stands as prison homestead, wherein ito pong prison homestead na yan, kapag po sila ay nakalaya na, so pwede po nilang magamit yun, or yung place na yun, para po magkaroon sila ng income. So yun pong prison homestead, meron po silang lupa doon na pagtataniman, at the same time, kapag meron na po silang product, ay pwede na po nilang ibenta. And also, previously it was called as Luhit Penal Farm. So aside from that, si Forbes po, yan po ay under po ni President William Howard ng US, pero dati po siya kasi ang mag-stand as Governor General ng Philippines. And si Luke naman po, or si Luke Wright naman po, siya naman po yung nag-stand as Governor General ng Philippines under naman po ni Theodore Roosevelt. Nung si Theodore Roosevelt na po ang namamahala. Kasi dati po, we are under the Spanish and the US rule. So also, yung Tagumpay Settlement, wherein nandito din po yung mga inmates or yung mga colonies na hindi po sila kino-confine sa loob po nung mismo cell. But rather, sila po ay allowed po na tumira po in open environment or in open work condition. So to conclude po, ito pong Iwahig Prison, ito po ay isang penal farm where prisoners live and work freely in a community settings. So, syempre po, focusing po natin dyan sa farming and self-sufficiency. So, ano po ba yung aim ng ating Iwahig Penal Colony? So, syempre po, kailangan ma-build natin yung trust, yung responsibility po natin doon sa mga prisoners, and also yung productive labor rather than strict imprisonment. Kasi naniniwala rin po sila na kapag sila po ay nakakakilos freely with supervision, nandun po nabibuild yung trust and responsibility po ng isang tao, also ng isang prisoners. Okay? So next, so area was expanded to 41,007 hectare by virtue of Executive Order number 67 issued by Governor Hilbert Newton. So si Governor Hilbert Newton, syempre as a governor, ang purpose niya po is to help and to supervise yung ating Iwahig Prison. Kaya po siya ay nagkaroon ng expansion, siya po yung tumulong din or isa sa tumulong po sa expansion po ng ating Iwahig Prison. And also, continuously, kung ano po yung ginagawa dun sa Iwahig Prison nung hindi pa siya expanded, yun din po ang ginagawa nung na-expand na po si Iwahig Prison. So, sub-colonies po ng ating Iwahig Prison. So, we have SIMC, Santa Lucia, Inagawan, Montible, and Central. So, medyo malaki po ang ating penal colony po dito po sa Iwahig. So, additionally po, itong si Iwahig po is located po in Puerto Princesa, Palawan. So, next po, let's have a board question. So, a member of the U.S. Expeditionary Force who later became the first prison director of Iwahig Penal Colony. So, we have Lieutenant George Wolfe. So, si Lieutenant George Wolfe, syempre, U.S. military officer siya, known for his administrative role. That is why, isa po siya sa pinaka-importante sa development po ng Iwahig Prison. Next is the New Bilibid Prison. So, New Bilibid Prison, before it became New Bilibid, syempre may Old Bilibid Prison po tayo. So, yung Old Bilibid Prison was established po by the Spanish colonial government noong 1865. So, syempre, ito po ay divided into two sections. We have the parcel, and we have the carcel, and we have the presidio. So, yung carcel po natin, it is what we call the jail. While yung presidio means prison. But before, it can only accommodate or it can only hold 527 prisoners. But with the help of Commonwealth Act number 67 on October 23, 1936, so ito po ay nag-allocate ng 1 million pesos po para po makapagpatayo po ng New Bilibid Prison or New Prison. Saan naman po ito located? It is located po sa Muntinlupa for about 551 hectares. So previously, ito pong Old Bilibid Prison ay nanggaling po sa or is located po dun sa Manila, na ang tawag na po ngayon doon ay Manila City Jail. So kaya po ngayon, kung if you are familiar with the Manila City Jail, so ito po yung dating Bilibid. But upon construction po with the help of Commonwealth Act number 67 for the allocation ng fund ng 1 million pesos, yung Old Bilibid Prison po ay naging New Bilibid Prison. So, noong January 22, 1941, when the name NBP was first used. So, it has 587 hectares and there are 2 sub-colonies. So, the Camp Bukang Liwayway and the Camp Sampaguita. So, Camp Bukang Liwayway is under po yan ng minimum security inmate, Camp Sampaguita, medium security inmate, and the NBP main building na andyan po yung ating maximum security inmate. So, take note of that na if it refers to minimum security, Bukang Liwayway. Then, medium security, Sampaguita. And then, when it comes to maximum security, New Bilibid Prison main building. So, correctional institution for women. So, by the virtue of Act number 3579, nagkaroon po tayo ngayon ng CIW. And it is located po sa Mandaluyong, Rizal. So, ano po ba yung Act number 3579? Ito po yung act na nag-authorize po ng pag-transfer ng all-female prisoners from Bilibid Prison or New Bilibid Prison to Mandaluyong. So, yan po yung Act 3579. Na yung mga babaeng prisoners po doon sa New Bilibid Prison, tinransfer na po natin ngayon sa Mandaluyong para kahit papano ma-decongest yung mga women prisoners doon po sa New Bilibid Prison. So, ang purpose po ng ating CIW is to provide secure environment for female offender while offering programs for their reformation and reintegration. Siyempre, there are different programs also intended for women, but with the help of CIW, lahat ng habi nila, lahat po ng pwedeng makatulong para ma-reintegrate sila ng maayos, ay dito po nila ginagawa. So, it was first opened on a 18 hectare on November 27, 1929. And also, it was being called as Women's Prison. So, next is the Davao Penal Colony. So, with the help, of course, ng Act number 3732 noong January 21, 1932, there is an establishment po na Davao Penal Colony. Or sometimes, they call them as DAPECOL or Davao Penal Colony. So, it was being located at Tagum, Davao del Norte. So, there are 2 sub-colonies, Dicapalong and Panabo. So, kung kanina po, may settlement din po tayo na nabanggit. And this time po, Yung settlement naman po natin is Tanglao Settlement. So, same lang po yan kanina ng Tagumpay Settlement, wherein it will serve as homestead of prisoners. And it was being established under po ng supervision po ni General Paulino Santos. So, ito pong Davao Penal Colony, it was the largest penal prison establishment in the Philippines or in the country. So, it was used by the Japanese Army during World War II. Kaya po kilalang kilala po itong Davao Penal Colony. So, take note for their subcolonies. So, kung sa Iwahig po, there are 4 subcolonies, yung SIMC. This time, the subcolonies of Davao Penal Colony is Kapalong and Panabo. So, Kapalong and Panabo. So, kung meron po tayong Tagumpay Settlement sa Iwahig, sa Davao, we have Tanglao Settlement. So, next is the Sablayan Penal Colony, which is located po sa Occidental Mindoro. So, with the help po ng Proclamation number 72, na-establish naman po itong si Sablayan noong September 27, 1954. So, before, there are 16,190 hectares po ang Sablayan. So, ang subcolony naman po niyan, Pasugul, Sentral, Pusog, and Yapang. So, it was being established, syempre, para mailipat po yung mga taga-Visayas na prisoners po na nasa New Bilibid Prison. So, syempre, yung prisoners from New Bilibid, dinadala po dyan sa Sablayan for decongestion purposes. So, itong si Sablayan, marami po yung mga products din po na nagagawa or na-establish. Example na lang po, yung rice, yung corn, vegetables, and other forms po ng farming na pwede po silang makapag-produce ng products. So, next is the Leyte Regional Prison. So, noong January 16, 1973, it was being established in Abuyog, Leyte with the help of Proclamation number 1101 to confine prisoners from Visayas. So, it is also called as the youngest penal colony. Kasi before, it can only accommodate 500 or 600 plus na prisoners coming from Jubilibid Prison. Siyempre, for the congestion purposes. At because of the lacking of fund, hindi pa rin po totally na-establish ng mas malaking prisoner po ang Leyte Regional Prison. But then, it can accommodate somehow yung mga prisoners from Visayas. So, next is the jail versus prison. So, what is the difference between the two? So, take note na when we refer to jail, it is only a short-term prison na below 3 years po dapat ang kanyang service of sentence. While prison, syempre national na yan, nandiyan na si Bureau of Correction, dapat 3 years and above po yung kanilang service of sentence to consider them na under po sila na prison. So, that is basically the difference between jail and prison. So, the provincial jail system was first established in 1910 under American regime. So, every province were mandated by the American colonizer to establish their own provincial jail under provincial government. So, in short po, na nakapagpatayo tayo ng provincial jail system to decongest po yung ating nasa national prisoners. So, it is a system where each province manages its own jail to detain offenders. So, of course, to ensure na yung local control ng prisoners is ma-establish natin. To help the prisoners to decongest, especially yung ating national prisoner, which is yung Bureau of Correction. So, laking tulong naman po ng ating provincial jail dito sa atin kasi kahit papano po, instead na maidala agad sila sa national prisoners, na-establish na po natin siya dito po sa local pa lang, bago po dumating sa national prison. So, next is the important features of RA 10592. So, the period of preventive imprisonment. So, take note of the highlighted na terms po dyan na if the detention prisoner agrees voluntarily in writing. So, meaning to say, if the detainee approves or agrees voluntarily in writing that he or she will under this preventive imprisonment, automatically, if he becomes guilty after the final judgment, naging guilty yung isang detainee, automatically po na it will be deducted po sa kanilang service of sentence. But if the case will be judged as not guilty, so there's no need to deduct the service of sentence, but rather they will be released po on the specific institution. So, but then, sabi po dyan, with the assistance of counsel to abide by the same disciplinary rules imposed upon convicted prisoners except in the following cases. When they are recidivist, meaning to say, they are always committing a crime, repeater of doing a crime with the same title, or have been convicted previously twice or more of any crime, or even the habitual offender is considered as, or it's not liable or is not acceptable in the granting po ng ating GCTA or ng 10592. So, GCTA meaning po is Good Conduct Time Allowance. So, ayan po, if it is considered as recidivist. Second, when upon being summoned for the execution of their sentence, they have failed to surrender voluntarily. Have failed to surrender voluntarily. Provided na sila po ay recidivist, escapist, habitual delinquent. So, the difference between the two is that si recidivist po ay continuously nakakakomit ng crime with the same title, but habitual delinquent with different title. And prisoner charged with the heinous crime are excluded from the coverage of this act. So, tandaan po itong mga ito na hindi po sila mabibigyan or magagrantan ng GCTA unless po sila po ay hindi po under netong mga designation na to. So, take note na yung GCTA or yung Good Conduct Time Allowance, once na hindi pa po siya granted, it is only a privilege. Pero once granted, it is considered as your right. Okay? So, credit for preventive imprisonment for the penalty of reclusion perpetua shall be deducted from 30 years in case the maximum penalty is destierro. He shall be released after 30 days of preventive imprisonment. So, automatically, if we are under preventive imprisonment, pero there is a penalty of reclusion perpetua, automatically it will be deducted from 30 years. So, next, we have special time allowance for loyalty. So, a deduction of 1/5. So, take note po, a deduction of 1/5 shall be imposed for the prisoners who have been evaded sentence of his preventive imprisonment, who shall give himself to the authorities. Take note of the term authorities within 48 hours. So, within 48 hours, if he or she submitted himself on the authorities, automatically a deduction of 1/5 sa kanilang service of sentence. Once na nagkaroon po yan ng calamity. But, however, a deduction of 2/5 shall be granted shall be granted for the prisoners who choose to stay, notwithstanding of the calamity. So, for example, nagkaroon ng calamity, pero ikaw ay umalis doon sa establishment or the facility, automatically po, you will not, and shall give himself to the authorities within 48 hours, automatically 1/5 ang mababawas or must be deducted on your service of sentence. Pero if behind the calamity, hindi ka umalis, kahit na pwede naman po or nabigyan kayo ng chance na makaalis, but you choose to stay, automatically 2/5 shall be granted for the prisoners. So, 2/5 po ang mababawas sa inyong service of sentence sa STAL or the Special Time Allowance for Loyalty. Next, for example, this question. James is the newly appointed jail guard of NBP. So, he conspired with Bruno, so a private citizen, to set free Mr. Alancado, a convicted murderer, in exchange of 1 million pesos. So, what crime is committed by Bruno? So, syempre, delivering prisoners from jail under Article 156. So, ito po yung delivering prisoners from jail. So, elements, there is a person confined in jail or penal establishment. Second, offender removes there from such person or helps the escape of such person. So, example in this illustration. So, also a jail guard who while he's off duty, jail guard, off duty, brought a released prisoners inside the jail. Off duty si jail guard, nagdala po ng released prisoner inside the jail to substitute for a detention prisoner. So, there is a detainee inside the prison, and then, etong si jail guard na off-duty, hindi siya yung custodian ng prisoners. So, automatically, siya po ay mako-considered as outsider pa. Dito po sa ating illustration. Kasi off-duty po siya. Whom he brought out of jail, returning him inside the jail after 5 hours, may be held liable under this article. So, under delivering prisoners from jail, kapag hindi ikaw yung custodian, pero nagpa-release ka ng prisoner at ipinalit mo doon sa detention prisoner, automatically, you will be held liable in delivering prisoners from jail. Pero kapag naman ikaw ay on duty, then nagdala ka ng release prisoner, pinalit mo sa detention prisoner, ito naman po ay infidelity in the custody of prisoners. So, ayan po yung difference ng dalawa. So, delivering prisoners from jail, offender is not the custodian. Not the custodian of the prisoner. So, tandaan, not the custodian. While the infidelity of in the custody of prisoner, offender is the custodian at the time of the escape or removal. And note, both the offender may be a public officer or a private citizen. So in both crimes, the person involved may be convict or a mere detention prisoners. So take a look on this. So, delivering prisoners from jail, kapag ikaw ay off-duty, hindi ikaw yung custodian. Off-duty, ikaw ay nag-release ng prisoner, yung release prisoner po ay sinubstitute mo doon sa detainee para makatakas, ikaw po ay liable sa delivering prisoners from jail. Pero kapag ikaw ay duty, or ikaw yung custodian, then yung release prisoner ay ikaw yung nag-substitute dun sa detainee para makatakas, infidelity in the custody of prisoners. So, take note of the two. So, kapag delivering prisoners from jail, hindi siya yung custodian or hindi yung custodian yung liable sa pagtakas po ng detainee. Then, kapag infidelity, yung custodian or yung duty ang liable or ang custodian po ang dahilan bakit makakatakas po si detainee. So, if a prisoner is sentenced to destierro, can he be liable for the crime of evasion of service? Of course, yes, because destierro involved deprivation of liberty. So, although partial, as the prisoner is deprived of his liberty to enter a prohibited area. So, if he enters the prohibited area, he commits evasion of service of sentence. Kasi we all know naman na yung destierro po ay hindi po dapat papasok dun sa required na radius po or kilometer radius po na ipoprovide sa kanya ng korte.